Excellent. Okay, so welcome everybody to this guided heart coherence practice. I'm really excited that you are able to join me live, and I'm also excited for whoever's going to watch the recording. My intention is that you learn a really effective technique in this session that you can use to regulate your nervous system, you can use to regulate and manage your emotions, and that you can use to imprint or populate your own energy field with really positive and regenerative energies that not only have an effect on you, but also have an effect on others that can be measured, and also has an impact on the whole world. So that's my intention, is that you can change the world in this 1 hour practice. So either by a show of hands or by typing in the chat box, has anybody heard of heart coherence before, or has anybody practiced heart coherence before? Yay, nay? Yes, I see a hand. Yeah, thank you, Megan. Has anybody ever heard of the Heart Math Institute that teaches? Yeah. So I am certified as what they call an Ad Heart facilitator through the Heart Math Institute. And what that means is that I'm able to share one of their heart coherence techniques, what they call the heart lock-in technique. So I can share that with people casually and informally. I can also share it professionally. And I'm really excited to be able to share it with you. So the way that this session is going to go, I'm basically just going to give a little bit of background on what this technique is, what it's good for, and then I'll go through, there's 3 main steps to the heart lock-in technique. So I'll describe what those steps are. I'll open it up if anybody has any questions or comments that they want to ask at that point before we actually do a practice. We can do that after I've shared the technique. And then depending on the amount of time that we have left, I will guide us through a 20 to 30 minute heart coherence practice. And what I'm going to use actually for that practice, you can't really tell because I have headphones in, but I also have this like snazzy little ear clip, which is attached to an app that Heart Math Institute created. So I can actually measure my own heart coherence. And so when we do this guided practice, I'm going to be sharing the screen, which shares the app. And so even though obviously your heart is going at a different rhythm than my heart, because we're going to be doing this as a group, we're not only going to be syncing with ourselves, but we'll also be syncing with each other. So you can use the app screen that I'll be sharing to regulate your heart rate variability, which regulates your emotions, which regulates your energy and your nervous system. So I'm just going to grab a drink here. Okay, so heart coherence is something that has really had a positive impact on my life. I practiced it, I'll be honest, really infrequently and kind of haphazardly before I decided to, just get certified in the technique. But since studying the technique and becoming certified in the practice, I do heart coherence at least 3 times a day, and that's like deliberately and intentionally. So it ends up being at least an hour, possibly a little bit more than an hour. And the amount of calm that I experience, the amount of alignment that I experience from it, and just the general sense of well-being that I get from it is just so valuable. And I'll actually share that I really used this technique today. Not only was it my first day at a new job in a very long time, so I was using that to regulate my energy and emotions, but when I was coming home from work, there was some crime scene. I take public transportation home, and the police had cordoned off this area, and there was all this chaos, and we needed to find shuttle buses, And what normally takes me about 45 minutes took around 2 hours to get home. But I was like, no sweat. I got my heart coherence app. I'm just gonna like breathe. And so I got extra heart coherence in, and I was able to kind of practice what I preach before coming to this session. So it really does work. Some of the things to know about heart coherence. First of all, it's not a competitive practice. It's not something that you're really pushing to get in coherence. It also isn't a goal-oriented process. So you're not trying to get anything out of it. Like, the goal isn't to become enlightened, or the goal isn't to receive like divine downloads. The goal is basically to come into calm, come into alignment, and come into coherence. And simply by doing the practice, you're already winning. That's the achievement. But this isn't something that you need to force your breathing or try really hard to get into coherence, because actually the harder you try, the less effective and the less coherent your heart will be. But essentially, when we're talking about coherence, what we're talking about is a really aligned and synchronized rhythm of your heart rate or your heartbeats. And when that is graphed out, a really incoherent heart would look really jagged on the heart monitor, whereas a coherent heart rate looks like the sine waves. So it's like undulating crests and valleys. And when your heart is in sync, then it's able to send more synchronized impulses up to your brain, which in turn soothes your nervous system. It harmonizes the sympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system and the parasympathetic branch to bring you just into a greater state of ease and into a greater state of calm. What it does on the hormonal level is increase the release of DHEA and oxytocin, and then it decreases the output of things like adrenaline and cortisol. So you're basically you're feeling better. And when you feel better, the energy that you broadcast to others also feels better. So it has a real ripple effect with the coherence. The coherence practice you can practice either with your eyes closed or open. And one of the things I'd like to mention before we actually do the practice is that you get to choose and you get to decide what feels right for you and what feels best for you. The benefits of closing your eyes during the practice is that you can really block out any distractions. You can really come inside yourself and go deeper into the heart coherence practice. But the benefit of keeping your eyes open during heart coherence, aside from any practical things, like if you're in your car, for example, you don't want to practice this with your eyes closed. But aside from any practical considerations, the benefit of keeping your eyes open during the practice is that you can choose how deep you go. And for some people, it doesn't feel safe, it doesn't feel right, and it doesn't feel good to go really deep. And that's okay, that's allowed. And if you're at all concerned about what might come up for you, if you were to close your eyes and like go there, please keep your eyes open. I'll share with you that the majority of the practice that I do, I actually do with my eyes open. And I find that it allows me to be more anchored and present in the here and now versus kind of going down the rabbit hole of my own self. So when we're doing the practice, you can choose eyes open, eyes closed. Nobody's going to know or care whether your eyes are open or closed. But that's just one way to really empower yourself and be an agent in your experience, is to make that decision intentionally about what feels right and what feels good in terms of whether your eyes are open or closed. So I'm going to share the 3 steps of the heart coherence practice. And actually, before I do, one of the studies that the HeartMath Institute conducted on the effectiveness and on the impact of heart coherence, they found, first of all, that experiencing an emotion like anger for 5 minutes actually really suppresses the immune system and can compromise your health, your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, and over a long term, obviously, even the physical well-being. But in contrast, 5 minutes of experiencing heart coherence, including regenerative emotions such as care or compassion or kindness, that can actually boost your immune response. And 5 minutes of coherence can have up to 5 hours of an impact on enhancing and improving the immune response. So I think that's pretty cool. Even if all you can do is 5 minutes of heart coherence, you get 5 hours out of it. I think that's a pretty good return on investment. Okay, so the heart lock-in technique. Does anybody have any questions before I share them? You're all good? Good? Good, okay. Okay, so there's 3 steps to the heart lock-in technique, and they're really simple. And again, the goal is gentleness, the goal is ease, and the goal is alignment, not pushing, not rushing, and not forcing. So step 1 would simply be to slow down the breathing, to breathe slower than normal, to breathe a little bit deeper than normal, and to imagine that the breath is actually coming in and out of your heart space in the center of your chest. So for some people, it might be easier to envision that if you actually place your hand over your heart. Other people, it'll be effective to just use your mind's eye and to visualize that breath is coming into your heart and flowing out of your heart. I personally like to imagine kind of like a Grecian temple with the marble pillars and the open air concept. And I just imagine a beautiful blue sky and that air and a breeze is flowing through that temple, and that temple is my heart space. And I like to also focus not only on the breath coming in and out of the front of my body, but also the sides of my body and the back of my body. Especially if people are feeling closed off or unable to receive, or really rigid and defensive in themselves. Oftentimes it's actually the back of the heart space that's more affected than the front. So if you can just draw your awareness and your attention to not only the front of the heart space, but the back and the sides as well, that'll get some good energy flowing in a 360-degree sphere or egg around you. So step 1, again, is just to slow the breathing down, to deepen the breathing, and to imagine that the breath is flowing in and out of the center of your chest and of your heart space. And when we do the practice, again, I'll be showing you the screen of the app, and it actually has this like mandala shape that expands and contracts. And if it feels right for you, if that's a good pace for you, you can actually time your breathing to the movements of that mandala. But if it's too slow for you, or if that feels too deep, please just go at your own pace. Again, it's not a race, it's not a test. This is meant to be a really personally empowering and aligning practice. So once the breath is deep and slow, and you're really feeling that it's coming in and out of your chest or in and out of your heart space, then the second step is to activate and sustain a really positive or regenerative emotional quality. So something like appreciation or gratitude, something like peace, compassion, care, kindness, any restorative emotion that you can associate with the heart. You can imagine almost like an essential oil diffuser, that emotional quality is being infused into your breath, is really steeping into your breath and flowing in and out of your heart space. And with this step, you don't have to reach for something that doesn't feel true to you, or that's an emotion that feels forced. So for example, if you're really mad at somebody, but you think, oh, I should be forgiving and I shouldn't let this get to me, it's not the best use of this practice to try forcing loving feelings for the person that you're really upset about. It would be more beneficial for everyone involved if you chose someone or something that it feels easy for you to appreciate, that it feels natural for you to love and care for. So actually, my sweet grandma is also on the call. And whenever I need to feel, it's going to make me a little teary actually, but sorry, whenever I need to pick someone that I just feel pure love and pure appreciation for in a really easy way, I always pick my grandma. So for you, it might be a child. For you, it might be a pet. Maybe it's also a grandparent for you, or maybe it's not actually a person. Maybe it's a place that really draws you in, that you really enjoy. Or maybe it's like a dream or a vision that just really soothes you and calms you. Whatever you can naturally use to bring you into a state of flow, to bring you into a state of love, that's the quality that you'd like to infuse into your breath and into your heart for this second quality. Pardon me, for the second step. So step one again is to slow and deepen the breath and imagine that it's coming in and out of your heart space. Step two is to infuse that breath with a regenerative emotion or quality that's associated with the heart. So again, peace, love, good vibrations, kindness, compassion, anything like that will be beautiful for step two. And then again, once we get into the rhythm of that, and once you really start feeling that and embodying that, the third step is to radiate that quality, first of all, to yourself, to all of your being. So if the emotion that you're drawn towards in the practice is gratitude, for example, we start by radiating gratitude to all parts of our bodies, all parts of our being, feeling gratitude for our toes and our fingers, the crown of our head. Every little part, we're just directing that energy towards ourselves. And then once we direct it to ourselves, we also radiate that to others, and we radiate it to the world. So again, depending on what feels good for you and natural for you, what feels like an easy step for you rather than this impossible stretch or this really forced reach. For some people, it won't feel natural to radiate that quality to themselves. And if that's you, that's fine. Feel free to radiate it to others and kind of skip yourself this time. And for some people, they won't necessarily have specific people that they can think of to like intentionally direct that energy to. So you can always do it more abstractly, and you can always intend that the energy goes to anyone who is hurting, anyone who's feeling isolated or lonely, anyone who needs to feel appreciated or needs to feel loved, needs to have more calm infused into their lives. You can just set the intention that whoever can benefit from the quality that you're generating will receive it. So the main things to keep in mind with the heart coherence practice, and I've said it a number of times already, but it's not a competitive practice. We're not needing to achieve the A+ in heart coherence. And we're also not needing to, get to some level that we think we need to do to qualify for the heart coherence championships. That's not at all what the practice is about. It's gentle, it's self-regulating, it's self-soothing, it's self-aligning. And then with those 3 steps, what we're basically doing is bringing our heart into a rhythm that's stable, that's aligned, that is coherent, hence the name of the practice. But when we do that, because the way our bodies are set up, the heart actually communicates much more with the brain than the brain communicates with the heart. So by focusing on the heart and by doing this practice, we're able to get into a state that lets our brains know that everything's okay. And not just okay, but everything actually feels good. Everything feels better. Everything feels aligned. And when the brain receives those messages from our heart, then it in turn is able to regulate our nervous systems and the hormones that it's releasing. So our emotions will feel better and our overall energetic state will also feel better. So does anybody have questions about that before I get ready to lead us in a heart coherence practice? No? It is pretty straightforward. And it is also something that HeartMath, you can go on their website and you can watch all these free videos and read all these free studies. So it's something that they want as many people as possible to know and to practice. And I also want that and intend that. So I'm just going to get ready to share my screen, and I'm going to take a sip of my tea. So what you're going to see in a moment again is the app for the heart coherence. It's called Inner Balance. It is produced by HeartMath Institute, and you do need an ear sensor to measure your own personal heart coherence, but I'm going to be showing you mine. And then you can use that mandala, like I said, to regulate your own breath and then come into heart coherence. So can everybody see this? Yeah? Okay. So I'm just going to get that started. Okay, so you can see how this mandala is expanding and contracting. And if it feels right for you, if it feels good for you, you can start to bring your breath into pace with that mandala. So I am going to say that when it gets bigger, we're going to inhale and exhale and inhale and exhale. And so with this app, the blue shows moderate coherence and the green is high coherence. And you can start to see on the top of the screen the heart waves coming through. So that is showing the coherence, that smooth sine wave pattern. So again, I'll invite you at this time to decide for yourself whether you would prefer to keep your eyes open for this session or if you would like to close them. Another instance where closing your eyes might be a good idea is if the pace of this breath is feeling either too slow for you or too quick for you. If you want to go at your own pace, it might be easier to close your eyes. And again, if you want to open your eyes, keep your eyes open, you can look at that mandala, regulate your breath, come into pace with that. And here we're just giving the body an opportunity to slow down a little bit, creating a little bit of a transition between being talked at or talked to and then actually engaging in a practice. So just letting your thoughts slow down, letting yourself feel present in the here and now, present in your body, present in the room or space that you're in right now. And letting any worries or concerns that you had before coming to this session, letting those be shelved for now. And any plans or worries or concerns that you have about what you need to do after this session, you can also shelve those as well and just be really present. And it might help to place your hand over your heart if that feels good for you. And otherwise, we're going to begin envisioning and intending that our breath flows in and out of our hearts or of the center of the chest. So as you inhale, you can imagine a warm breeze flowing into the temple of your heart. Inhaling and exhaling, drawing energy in through your heart, into your heart, and then releasing the breath, inhaling and exhaling. And as you continue to breathe, remember to not only focus on the front of your body and the front of your heart, but imagine a nice westerly wind or an eastern breeze flowing through the side of your heart, cleansing and purifying your heart space with the breath. And also any blockages or stagnation or tightness in the back of your chest and the back of your heart. See if you can use your mind's eye to open that area of your body, to direct the breath through the back of your heart, opening up that space, adding some lightness, adding some freshness. And again, not needing to force this, not needing to rush this. If the breath feels too slow, please go at your own pace. Listen to your body. Honor your own limitations, but also honor your own capacity. Honor your own agency. And as you continue to draw the breath in through your heart and release it out from your heart space, just intend that you're beginning to come into coherence. You can imagine that the waves that flow at the top of the screen reflect your heart rhythms, your heart rate variability. And so not only are you coming into sync with yourself, but you're also synchronizing and coming into coherence and resonance with everyone else who is on the call, as well as everyone who will watch the recording in the future. And now, without thinking too much or thinking too hard, I'd like you to invite an uplifting or a regenerative, a rejuvenating emotion into your heart. Whether that is compassion or gratitude, whether it's an innocent love and appreciation, whether it's joy, whatever surfaces for you naturally, you can imagine that that emotion, that energetic quality is a drop of essential oil that you're putting into a diffuser. Or you can also imagine that it's a tea bag that you are going to steep in your heart. And just let that quality become cultivated in your breath. Let that quality become infused into your heart and into the breath that flows in and out of your heart space. And as you inhale, you can draw that quality into your being, really feeling it permeating you, filling you. And as you exhale, you can spread that quality out. You can imagine that droplets of it are on your breath and are being shared and offered to your energy field, as well as to others in the collective energy field. And again, just keeping it simple, keeping it pure and gentle, not requiring yourself to stretch or to reach or to come into a state that doesn't feel easy for you or real or true for you. Just accepting whatever is coming up and coming through for you, and letting those regenerative emotions and those regenerative qualities affect you, have an impact on you, imprint your energy and contribute to your own well-being, your own alignment, your own coherence and inner harmony. It's okay if your mind wanders while you're doing this practice. And if it does, it might help to open your eyes or to refocus on the mandala, and then to get intentional again, to get conscious again, get deliberate once more about pacing your breath and drawing that breath in and out of your heart space. And if you resonate more with the example of the essential oil diffuser, see if you can picture the scent or the aroma of the emotion that you're infusing into your energy field. What does your gratitude smell like? What does your joy feel like or sound like? See if you can let that quality and that emotion really swell inside of your heart, expand within you. And if you resonated more with the analogy of the tea bag steeping, you'll know that when you put tea into hot water, that the longer you let it sit, the more concentrated your brew will be. So see if you can tune into how dark and how rich and how flavorful your energy field is becoming with you consciously steeping and infusing this regenerative quality into yourself, into your field, into your heart. And as you continue to breathe, and as you continue to cultivate those uplifting qualities in your heart, we're going to prepare to radiate those qualities to ourselves and to others, to the world. So first of all, as you inhale, draw in that quality once more into your heart. And then as you exhale, imagine that quality spreading throughout your entire body. And you can use every inhale as a guide, as a way to direct the energy. And every exhale actually spreads that energy to every one of your body parts, every one of your cells. And the energy is still flowing in and out of your heart space, in and out of your chest. But at the same time, that quality is flowing down your torso, swirling in your hips and pelvic area, flowing down your legs, healing any stiffness or tightness in your bones and joints, going all the way down to your feet until you can feel this beautiful golden honey liquid energy just glowing from your toes. And at the same time that it's going down your legs and into your feet, it's also still flowing in and out of your heart space. But you can imagine the energy and that uplifting emotion swelling in your heart and rising up your chest, through your neck and throat, dissolving any blockages there, any resistance there, any fears you might have. Feeling that area opening up and softening with your breath and with this positive heart quality. And it's like a sun rising in your face, in your head, in your mind, through your brain, feeling everything soften, every part of you relax, every part of you open, feeling calm, feeling safe, feeling held, feeling loved and appreciated and seen. And with every inhale and exhale, as you're radiating that quality throughout yourself, you can picture what color that energy is. What do you see streaming from your fingertips? What color of halo do you have as this energy is beamed throughout your whole self? Is it a soft light? Is it a brilliant or dazzling light? Just letting yourself soak up as much of this energy as you need, as much of it as you can benefit from at this time. Really filling up your own well here, offering yourself this beautiful regenerative heart quality. And if you feel saturated by this quality, or when you feel saturated by it, or whenever it feels right and aligned and appropriate for you to begin radiating this quality to others, You can intend that that be so. If you want to continue radiating the quality to yourself, please do so. And otherwise, as you continue to breathe, and as you continue to feel your breath pouring in and out of your heart space, like this beautiful cleansing breeze, and when you can feel yourself glowing and pulsing with that healing energy and that healing quality, you can begin to imagine and envision that there is so much of this energy that it can't help but to spill out and overflow from you. And you can intend that that energy and that uplifting quality gets offered, first of all, to anyone who is in your vicinity, in your physical vicinity. Just imagining that your whole energy field is incandescent with this quality, and that the people around you can't help but to be touched by it and touched by you. So you can rain the blessings of this heart quality to others nearby. And then if there are others that you deeply care about who aren't near you right now, if you wish to call their energy in and offer that quality to them, you can imagine that they are affected by it, that they are touched and healed and uplifted. They're activated by that quality too. It's also feeling that some of the people on this call can also benefit from sharing the energies. So you can envision and intend that whoever can most benefit from your particular flavor and your particular timbre of energy, that they can receive it directly from you. And I'm seeing a beautiful web being formed, connections being forged as we both offer and radiate these positive qualities to others on the call, but also receive what we most need, what heals us and benefits us and activates us, that we're also receiving that from this collective coherence that we're cultivating on the call. So with every inhale, allow yourself to receive, both from yourself, your own breath, as well as the offerings and blessings that are extended to you by others. And on every exhale, you can share the quality that you have been steeping in, that you are infusing with this practice. You can share that with yourself and with others. And you can imagine all of the colors, all of the different qualities of light that we're each generating, that we're each cultivating, combining into this beautiful sunrise, this spectacular display of love, of care, compassion, gratitude, joy, and appreciation. You might be able to feel that in your heart or in your energy. You might be able to see that. Maybe you hear the melody of it, but just let yourself appreciate that. And then we're gently going to come out of the practice by going backwards through the steps. So first of all, you can intend to stop actively radiating the quality to yourself and others. So rather than using your breath to direct the energy anywhere, you can just really internalize it again, to just feel it within you. And just take some final notes of the feeling you've generated, the essence you've cultivated. And it might help here to kind of scoop the energy from in front of you or from around you, and to actually press it into your heart with your hands, receiving the offerings that have been given and shared, and integrating them, internalizing them. And then finally, we'll simply draw the attention back to the movement of the breath, in and out of the center of your chest. Letting that breath feel like a summer's breeze flowing in and out of your body, slowly and deeply cleansing you, refreshing you, bringing into beautiful coherence and alignment within yourself. So I'm going to stop the share of that. And whenever you're ready, you can come back to the present moment, to your body, to the group. And how is everybody feeling? Everybody looks pretty blissed out. So that is one way to do heart coherence. I'll also just emphasize that if you're doing this on your own, it doesn't have to be for a long time. You don't have to go into this whole meditation with it. You can do it for 5 minutes. You can do it for a minute as you're waiting in line at the grocery store, or if you're in rush hour, you can do it in between lights or movement of the traffic. But it is a really beautiful way to enhance your energy field, to bring your heart and your brain and your emotions into alignment with each other. And this practice in a modified version is something that we're going to be doing regularly in the program that I'm offering, Monarch. The difference between what we did tonight and what's going to happen in the program is that when we do the heart coherence practice in the program, I'll also be weaving in more intuitive insights and tuning into the people in the group and bringing their specific energies into what I say, into the guided part. Whereas here it was more me directing the flow of the practice. It's going to be more collectively guided in the program. So I am basically right on time. Go me. I'm just going to open it up for any final questions or comments. If anybody wanted to share how they felt, the impact that that practice had on them, that is great and invited. And if you have any questions, you can ask them. Otherwise, that'll be it. I just want to thank you for taking the time to be here, to experience this practice in real time, even though it'll be just as effective for everyone who is listening to the recording. But it's a real honor and privilege to share this time with you and share this space. And also just to share this technique and practice that I've really benefited from. I'm glad that I was able to share it with you tonight. So thank you. So if there are no questions or comments, oh, here we go. Thank you, Dana. It was really healing practice. I haven't experienced it before, and I'm definitely looking forward to practicing further. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's always really interesting to hear people's first time experiences. And I'll also just build on that and share a little bit that like I was talking about before, how it's not competitive and it's not goal-oriented. Sometimes when I do heart coherence for myself, it feels just like really, really good. And I get this like kind of dreamy quality. And other times it's kind of like, you don't really notice a difference. And other times when I sit down to do the practice, I'm just not feeling it. And it's like, this is just not working like it normally does. So it isn't, well, if it is, that'd be great. But it's not necessarily something that you can build an expectation that it's always going to feel this way or it's always going to have that same kind of quality to it. It'll be different for every person and different for every time. But that being said, the like the healing feelings, the dreamy feelings, the really good, just blissed out feelings are always nice when they happen. Okay, Mom, do you want me to unmute you? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I had a really hard day.
Mm-hmm.
And then that exercise, I was radiating golden white light across the entire planet with no effort at all.
Really?
It was like no problem. I started imagining certain people, and then it turned into other people, and my heart just kept just getting bigger and bigger. Like I was there was not really a lot of putting it in, because there was so much for everyone, that it was amazing.
Mm. And can I ask, when during the guided part, when we were directing it to ourselves, were you directing it to yourself at that time, or had you chosen to direct it to others right away?
Actually, I was actually in the middle of a circle that I was imagining people around me.
Mm.
So in some ways, maybe, but then imagining them around me was just like making my heart swell. So, and then I started walking around the circle of people, like, so in some indirect way. And then I was like, oh, right, I'm supposed to be directing this to myself. And so then I would like do that, but then it would just keep getting so big that it would go like right around the globe. And I had a really hard day.
And then yet it was like effortless to share it with the whole universe.
No problem whatsoever.
That's a really interesting reflection. And then I just want to reiterate with that, that there is no shoulds with it. Like, even though I was guiding us to direct it to ourselves, like I said before, if you weren't feeling that, or if it felt more sticky than just like radiating to the globe, then it's your practice, right? And whatever feels the most elevated and the most elevating is where to take that, where, rather than going somewhere like, I'm supposed to do this, or like, Dana's forcing me to do this, right? It's much more beneficial for you, but also for, in this case, the globe, when you're following the energy and you're going you're going with what feels natural and right for you. So thank you so much for sharing that.
That was incredible. I loved it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Oh,
Sorry.
so will we, like, say we want other people to experience this that maybe didn't sign up for the Zoom? Is
Yep.
that going to be available for everyone to rewatch?
That's a really good question. It's like I planted it, but I didn't even. Yes, the recording, I'm going to send it out to my newsletter within 24 hours of this. And then I'll also post the link to the recording on my Instagram. So people, if there's people that you wanted to share, if you're on the newsletter, feel free to forward it. If you want them to sign up, or if you want them to visit the Instagram page, they'll be able to get that there by tomorrow.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to mute you now. Is that okay? Okay. Okay, so Lisa, awesome. So wonderful to experience. I had moments where I had to reset and had resistance from thoughts of to-do lists. Human. But it was easy to step back, watch it, and tap right back in. Very powerful. There are moments when it's an awareness of all that is going on in the heart, yet then really an awareness of the light and refresh, penetrating more and more with every breath, each breath released. Oh, with patience as well. That's an interesting observation, that experiencing the resistance, but then also softening that with patience. And everything you shared is, yeah, super normal and superhuman. Not superhuman like superhero, but like very typically human. And I'm glad that it was easy for you to witness the resistance and witness these to-do lists coming up, but then refocus and check back in with that mandala, and get your breathing back on pace and step back into your heart. Did the people who had their eyes open, did you find the mandala helpful to follow along with? Yeah. Yeah, I find sometimes when I do the practice with my eyes closed, my breath isn't as even as it is when I keep my eyes open and follow that. So sometimes I'll have these like 10-second inhalations, and then I notice I'm holding my breath, and then it's like, a 5-second exhale or whatever. So it's not as like evenly spaced when I do it on my own as when I have my eyes open and I'm using that mandala as a pacer. So that's also interesting to, I don't know if people heard that, but I had some weird mic thing happen. Yeah, so it's interesting to see the difference between our breath and our experience, whether our eyes are open or closed, or whether we're watching the mandala or not. So I really appreciate everyone sharing their experience, those that did. And I also hope that the people who are just reflecting on their experiences privately, that it's helped to hear this discussion and hear what other people were experiencing and going through, that can add to your own reflections and your own integration of the process and of this practice. So if there's no other questions, I will say good night, and I'll make that recording available. And just once again, I really thank you, and I really honor you for showing up this evening. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye and end the recording.